Awesome. Denise, we got you connected now. Let's have you turn your sound on and your screen. There we go. Awesome. Welcome and good morning, everyone. I hope that you guys are all having a great day. Thank you for joining us. We'll share a little bit more about what's going on in the market and share more with you about what programs are currently available through Tri-Counties Bank. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our mission here with Realtist of Fresno County and the Fresno One program is the mission is to the initiative is designed with a high level of comprehensive home buyer education and counseling, financial literacy, first-time buyer workshops, down payment assistance programs, grants, and flexible mortgage products and programs for the communities of Greater Fresno. The purpose of this innovative initiative is designed to increase the homeownership rate for our low to moderate income first-time home buyers in Greater Fresno region. So we want to be able to assist our community members in their purchase for their first-time home buying. And of course, we assist anybody in any process of their buying with any of their, whether they're buying, selling, or whatever their services they need. Gonna hand it over to Jeff so he can introduce our team.
Thank you so much, Aisha. And it's wonderful that everyone took the opportunity to be with us on this holiday weekend. I know it's hard to find time to carve out for this kind of thing, but this is an important first step for many people in how you buy a home. And the realtists that are going to help you today, along with Denise, who's a lender, have all the information you need to get started. And we're happy to volunteer our information to you. To that end, we have Aisha Allen, who's our president, Lionel Akpovi, who's past president and one of our founding members, who I think I saw online. We have Krishna Lott as vice president. Rosie Lopez is our treasurer. I'm the secretary, so I keep the notes and generally yell at people to be on time. Tamisha Steele is our second secretary. Mitchell Shaw is our chaplain. And Annette DeDios is our parliamentarian. Of course, as ROFC, the Realtist of Fresno County, we're always open to new members. We have affiliate memberships. We have realtor memberships. We have lender memberships for like people who are in the business. And so if you have an interest in taking part in the nonprofit work that we engage in, which is generally focused on increasing Black home ownership in Fresno County and the surrounding areas, we'd love either your participation, or if you know somebody you want to send them our way. We're always accepting new members too, and we're very welcoming and kind, and we love the opportunity to help the people of our community in any way we can, so that they're not left behind out of the tremendous wealth building opportunities that home ownership represents.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jeff. And then we couldn't do this without our partners, Realtors of Fresno County. We have partnered alongside of the city of Fresno and our other amazing partners, Tri-County Bank. All right. So right before we go into our discussion about the current programs that are available, we wanted to have a little bit of a discussion of where the market kind of is right now as we speak. So it can give you a better idea of what's going on with the market prices, homes on the available that are available for purchase, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that we're pulling up for you guys to take a look out here is currently how many homes are on the market, how many homes are in contract, and how many homes have been sold. So right now, if you take a look at it, this is in August of 2022, and then we go to September, October, November, December. So we're here in the beginning of the year. So even from February, March, April, there was less inventory available than the homes that are currently available on the market now. So as you can see, we currently have, and this is for October numbers, 1,827 homes that are on the market, of which 739 homes are currently in contract, or were currently in contract, and 670 homes were sold in October. This goes to show that we do have a little bit more inventory that was available, which kind of reflects interest rates as well. As interest rates started to rise, the amount of houses being sold started to drop. So we did tend to have a little bit more inventory on hand than the homes that we had available, than the homes that we previously had available for market. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
One of the big things you would be looking for as a buyer is what we call months of inventory. Generally, a healthy market is 1 month worth of inventory, which if no new house came on, I think Aisha might have that number. If no new houses came on, how long the houses available would stay. So for buyers in particular, I know a lot of people are there. Oh, see, that's terrific. 2.7 months is really where we're getting to the spot where it's a healthy market. And I know a lot of buyers are watching those interest rates, hoping they come down a little bit in the summer. Between here and then, what you want to see is more homes piling up. That's going to be more purchase opportunities, more opportunities for deals and things like that. So I know the general perception is the market is like stagnant or very down. It's not down, it's just slow. The transactions aren't moving as quickly as you would expect to see them under these conditions. But that means that over time, those homes are going to pile up on the market, and it's going to present opportunities for savvy buyers to make good purchases.
Yes, most definitely. Yes, and that is another one of the key elements to help determine what kind of a market it is, if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And when we have less than 3 months of inventory on the market, then we are still technically in a seller's market, which means that in most cases, you can't negotiate a lot of things, but it really is dependent, a case by case circumstance with what a seller may or may not need. And in some cases, sellers may have a sense of urgency of selling the home. So there may be more leeway to negotiate some of the terms in the contract. But again, it will be case by case circumstances in regards to that. Some of the other market trends that we were taking a look at is days on the market. Days on the market also determines how quickly things are selling. We are currently at 27 days on the market. So a house may sit on the market about 30 days before it's being sold, which is a little bit different from what we were seeing during the COVID timeframes. We were seeing some of these houses sold within 4 to 7 days in some cases. So the houses were selling on very fast, which was an indicator for me to share with my clients. Hey, if we're going to be looking at homes, we may need to look at them as soon as the home comes on the market to give us enough time to write an offer before the house may be sold or an offer may be selected for contract. So um, this gives us an indication that we have a little bit of time to take a look at the home. However, you do want to make sure that you give yourself time to think about it before you actually write an offer. So still going to see the house pretty quickly, but their houses are tending to sit on the market just a tad bit longer. Any thoughts that you two would like to add?
Yeah, you made the one I was going to make, which is in comparison to 21, 22, which was an extreme outlier. Just like, I mean, it was so extreme they had to change the entire real estate market to correct it. But again, as Aisha's talking about how when you go from a seller's market or a stable market to buyer's market, the number of days that you want to be looking for is at least 30. And that when we get up to 60 days on a market, these are healthy, normal things. It may not feel like it because of how crazy 21 and 22 were, but it's very normal for the housing market for a house to be on the market for 30 days. So that's a good sign.
And then average price per square foot. This just kind of helps you to calculate the average price per square foot for the homes when you're looking at the sales price of the home. So right now we're currently at 249 dollars per square foot. Depending upon the square foot, let's say a house is 1,400 square foot, then we would multiply that to 49. Let's see, calculator.
Man, hope we get another January like last January.
Right? I know. Look at that. Times 1,400. So if we're looking at a 1,400 square foot on average, it's probably going to be somewhere around the sales price of 348,600. So that just kind of something that kind of help you gauge what the market is looking like. We're going to add
It's
some.
Yeah, something that's amazing. I suggest my clients always look at price per square foot rather than trying to like look at the price, the headline price. You want to be looking at your price per square foot. And something that's amazing about the Fresno market and really how we've been much better than a lot of other places is that price per square foot has been incredibly stable. Even through the run up of prices, we've seen that 230 to 250 really be, you can find a lot of houses at that price point, and that makes it affordable for a lot of people. So it's good to see that it's staying in that range.
Most definitely. Denise, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I'm good.
And then average price for sales, average price for homes for sales. Currently, it looks like houses that have been sold, we're at about 41,000 is what the average prices per homes are sold. So I mean, that's a huge jump from what we were looking at in January. In January, we were on average, the average sales price for homes were 384,000 here in Fresno County. And so we're already looking at 441. So that gives you a kind of a gauge of equity prices going up for homes there in that little bit of area compared to the houses that are currently sold. So right now, the houses that are on the market are trending for about 557,000 on average for homes that are being sold.
Sellers not quite getting the message yet still. I noticed in a previous chart where there was the percent of list price versus close price, which is what people actually pay versus what they're listed at, 96, 97%. In the run up, we had 105, 103, like above what people were asking for. And sellers are going to get the message that you can't be asking these absurd prices anymore. You're going to have to make deals.
Most definitely. Which kind of leads, so that kind of covers where we are with the market, but it kind of just one of the things that I wanted to kind of gauge and have a discussion about in regards to that was also like I know Denise and I and a few other folks have had conversations about making your first purchase of a home and it not having to be your forever home because getting into a home may be more important than having to purchase your long time forever home at whatever price point that may be. I've had a couple clients that have purchased their home and after even during the COVID timeframes within a 2-year span had a significant increase in values for the homes that they have purchased. And I actually pulled up 2 of them so you guys can kind of gauge it and see. Let me see if I can pull up those numbers for you. So here is an example of a client that had a home. They purchased the home. Can you see the screen? Sorry, I just want to make sure you guys can see it.
Yes.
So they purchased the home back in May of 2021 for $337,000. And from then until October, which is this month, this last month, the current estimated value of that particular home now is $478,000. So that got a huge amount of gain in equity in that particular home that was listed on the market in just a what is that 3-year time frame, 2.5 year time frame. So it doesn't have to be your forever home. This could be just something that you are purchasing in so that you're not giving up, let's say, the amount of money that you put into rent. You're spending that, and we talk about that being 100% interest rate that you're paying on your rent per month, opposed to you paying down the equity of your home, which you could use as a vehicle to be able to access funds in the future. Is there anything you can speak to in regards to that, Denise, and your experience with some of your clients?
You know, it's always better to be investing in yourself than helping someone else, grow their worth. Um, the value isn't there until you sell it, but at least if you're making payments, monthly payments, you're not building the equity for somebody else. You're building it for yourself. When you're paying rent, you will never get any of that money back. At least there's a way to build your own equity to have another savings vehicle if you decide to sell or when you go to retire or sell it and move up to buy a different house. But at least you're paying yourself. That's kind of a vehicle where you're paying yourself and not someone else.
Most definitely. Jeff, anything else?
No, just other than to point out that I think there's an impression that houses in Fresno lost a lot of money, lost a lot of equity because the run up was so steep. But if you look at the numbers, there was a slight decline, but we're almost back to where we were a couple of years ago, and prices are up. I mean, the trend for real estate's always up. So a saying we have in the business is the best time to buy real estate is 10 years ago, and the second best time's today.
Hey there, Lionel. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, how are you, team? I've been following this. This is just really good information, and I, I co-sign on everything that was just mentioned about the market. And at the end of the day, as mentioned by Denise and Jeff and Aisha, the key is investing in yourself and your family rather than paying someone else's mortgage, right? So, no matter how the market might be down or up, it's always important to consider your family's well-being and think about your future generations as you're making these purchases. And a lot of ways, I think, though the market may be down, I think this is probably one of the best time for a first-time home buyer to really get a good deal. And Denise will probably cover this. You can refinance down the road. Maybe it's a year or 2 years, however long that might take. But at the end of the day, you can find some really good options for yourself in this down market, as some might call it. So that's all I have to add.
Well, I mean, and you're coming from the experience of working on both ends on the real estate side of things, helping people buy and sell their properties, but you're also working on the rental side of things. So you see how much people are putting into it for their rents, right?
Absolutely, and rents just keep going up. I mean, I can tell you, even with the way the market is, I've just recently, this last week, I've had about 10 of my clients try to increase their rents.
Do you mind
Um,
sharing about how much?
so, for example, I just did one where it went up $400, which is, I mean, if you're looking at a budget, that is extensive. And a lot of time people, worry about, well, I think they're limited to increasing my rent. Well, some properties don't have limits as far as rent increases is concerned. So, but yeah, I just did one this last week. It was $400 increase. The family's been in the home. They've been in the home 4 years. So that just gives you an idea. I mean, it can be substantial when you're looking at budgeting and trying to prepare yourself to buy a home. Getting a $400 hit on an additional expenses is a lot. So
That's a huge difference, especially in the middle of inflation while food has gone up, gas has gone up, and everything else has gone up. Like that alone, is already a hit, let alone another $400 automatic hit that you have to pay just to be able to have a place to lay your head at night.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think the key is making sure you plan, prepare, and invest in yourself. Because at the end of the day, rents will only keep going up. And I have not had a landlord call me to say, "Hey, let me reduce my rent." I haven't seen that happen once yet. And so, the important thing is you need to make sure that you prepare yourself because rents are not going down. And, as Denise will probably cover, is, budget, and get yourself financially prepared because, once you start paying mortgage and investing in your own family, you're gonna prepare yourself for the long road.
Question, now that he made a comment about it, from the rental side of like a $400 increase, Denise, 1% interest rate increase, what do you think on average a monthly payment that would adjust? Let's say 350,000 home, or I don't know, what's a number you think is easy to, yeah, we still can't hear you.
That's about 40 to 50, depending upon the loan amount. I mean, in some cases, it can be $200, depending upon the loan amount. 1% can make a big difference. You know, the first thing is to get where you're comfortable on a payment. Figure that part out first. And then there's the misconception. You got to have 20% down. You don't. Like here, we've got different down payment assistance programs that can help you. Each program has its own guidelines, but in reality, you figure out your payment and you might be able to get in with as little as maybe 2% down payment, not having to have it all. Just making sure you're putting the whole package together, your credit, your income. But the key thing is make sure you're comfortable with that payment. And then when rates come down, you can refinance. You can lower that payment. Whereas if you're renting, your payment's only going to go up. it's not going to, you don't have the opportunity to actually lower it. When you own a home, you can actually lower it by refinancing. So you have more options in owning your own home. So if you're comfortable in the payment, which is probably what you're going to pay when you're paying rent, or maybe a couple $100 more than you're currently paying rent, and then we back into it to see what you qualify for. And then that's what you look for. But it's a start, and it will start to build you where you can build up to what people say is their dream home. And then I have others I did 15, 20 years ago who thought it was their first house. They were going to use it to move up. It's turned into their dream home. They ended up adding on, and it's perfect to what they want. So we think one thing today, but tomorrow can always be something different. But you've got to start somewhere.
Most definitely. No, I think that was very well said. Thank you for that. And so that's just a little bit of the information in regards to the market trends, where we see things at, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the market is reflecting. But now we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Denise so she can go over some of the down payment assistance programs that are out there. And maybe she can share a few circumstances of what she was able to do for some of her clients.
Thanks, Aisha. Okay, so at Tri-Counties here, we do have a few programs. You have to go through Tri-Counties for the first, and then you're eligible for these down payment assistance to help you get in. Do you have the next slide, Aisha?
Most definitely.
Okay, the first one is the WISH program. It is you have to be a first-time home buyer. Your income has to be at 80% or below of the HUD median income. So that goes off of depending upon family size. You live in the house for 5 years, and the full amount is forgiven. 20% per year is forgiven if you decide to sell it or rent it out in that first 5 years. The program is a 4-for-1 match. What that means is for every $1 you bring in, WISH will give you 4, up to a maximum of $29,000. So with you coming in with $7,250, you would get the max of $29,000. We can do this in conjunction with our conventional loans and an FHA loan. We can also do it with a CalHFA loan. So, and that's what we call layering. The next loan we have is, I think, is that, okay, this is the NAAC. I'm going to be honest, Tri-Counties is actually out of funds for that, but we replaced it with another one that we call the SHE program, which basically the guidelines are the same. First-time home buyer, which first-time home buyer, the definition is you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Income limits are the same as WISH, so 80% of the median HUD. You live in the house for 5 years, and you don't have to pay the grant back. The amount of this down payment assistance is 3% of the purchase price, up to $10,000 for down payment. And like I said, this one's pretty much the same thing. And then we have one more, which is what we call the special purpose program. And that one is 3% of the loan amount, up to $7,500. And that can be used to pay closing costs, buy down points, and things like that. Now for that one, your income has to be 150% of the median HUD income. So it's much bigger than the SHE or the WISH. And you can actually use that to help to pay for closing costs and prepaids for either a home purchase or even a refinance. The property does have to be owner occupied. There are other down payment assistance out there that we can actually layer with these different programs. The city of Fresno has one that is up to $100,000. and the county of Fresno. So if you're in the city, you'd be the city one. If you're in a county island or any of the rural areas of Fresno County, you'd be on the county one. The city of Fresno is up to 100,000. You live in the house for 15 years, and then the amount is fully forgiven. If you sell it or rent it out in that 15-year period, you would have to pay the amount of funds up to 100,000 that you borrowed back to the city. The county is 20% of the purchase price. So they all kind of run a little bit different on the amounts they give. As I was telling Aisha earlier, I actually structured one where they're getting almost $140,000 in down payment assistance. So rather than qualifying for, say, $189,000 or $150,000, they now qualify for like $280,000 house. So that makes a big difference. Just make sure when you're looking at down payment assistance, you understand what the repayment portion of it is. Some of them, you know, you could be paying interest on that money even though you're not making a payment. So you've got to be careful, because in 10 years or 5 years, you're going to owe more than what you borrowed. So those are things you have to know. If you refinance, do you have to pay it off? Or will it subordinate, which means it will go behind your new first, or the first that you're refinancing, or do you have to pay it off? Those are different things you do have to look into and know when you're dealing with down payment assistance. What I like about the 3 that we do here at Tri-Counties is they'll all subordinate, and basically after 5 years, you don't have to pay it back. It's true free money if you can make it 5 years. And like I tell everybody, most of the time, you haven't even finished unpacking your boxes at the end of 5 years. You know, you haven't even thought about moving yet. So it's pretty easy. And most of my clients, they've all loved it because it's gotten them their steps. When you walk in and you close, you're already walking in with that amount of money in equity, rather than maybe just, you know, $5,000 or $10,000. Now you're walking in with a big chunk of equity. So regardless of what the market does, it gives you some flexibility where you're not upside down or feel that pressure of being upside down. The one thing you have to remember in this market is prices go up and down just like the stock market. So the price of the home really doesn't matter until you decide to sell, but you always want it worth more than what you owe.
Most definitely. Yeah, we had a great conversation about it. And even I go back and forth about certain down payment programs because I want clients to be absolutely clear on what it is expected of them and when do they, or if they have to pay funds back. So I know with the scenario that she was mentioning, she brought up in regards to someone having up to 140,000 in down payment assistance funds. I to myself said, okay, well, what if a client doesn't need that much money in down payment assistance funds? Would they need to apply to all of the programs? And what she made clear was no, that you do not have to. But depending on your income amount, you would only be qualified up to a certain dollar amount or purchase price. So if you did, for example, include the city of Fresno for up to 100,000. What happens is, since you're paying down on the payment on the home, what happens is you give yourself a little more purchase power, so it qualifies you to buy more funds. Is that how you would say it, or how would you say that, Denise?
Yeah. Like the city of Fresno, it's up to 100,000. So everything's going to depend upon what purchase price you're looking at. So let's say you qualify for 150. Out of the first main three, which is where I usually start, let's say you get 39,000 in down payment assistance. Now you're at 189,000, right? But the house you want is 250,000. So it's not that you need the full 100,000 from the city, you only need about 61,000. So then that's what you would be borrowing, is the 61,000 to get you to where you want to be for the house you want to purchase. It's never to say push it all the way to the top, okay? Because you do have to, well, in 15 years it would all go away, so I guess you could, but 15 years is a long time. 5 years is a short time to me. 5 to 7 years, that's usually you blink and you're still there. My intentions to live in my house was a max of 2 years. Okay, I've been here 6. You know, I mean, it just works that way. Every time I say I'm going to live somewhere for 2 years, and I end up being there for, 7 to 10 years. So time goes by quickly, but 15 years is a long stretch. So under most circumstances, well, let's say 30% of the time, you're going to owe money back to the city because you're going to sell sooner by going with that program. But it got you in, and as you paid down your first mortgage and those other programs went away because you passed the 5 years, you're still just building equity for yourself. And with the lower loan amount, you're paying less in interest.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. When it's zero interest, as the investors always say, that's free money. Okay, if it's zero interest. So it's kind of like, you borrowed the 100,000 from yourself. You didn't have to pay yourself interest, but you are going to have to pay it back.
Right.
That's kind of the way I look at the city down payment assistance program. But you need to make sure under each person's scenario, I go over that very heavily to make sure, because I don't want anyone to forget between now and when it goes away what the implications are, that they are fully aware.
Right. So we recently had someone reach out to us who wanted to know more about the down payment assistance programs that Tri-County had. So I group messaged Denise with that client so that she can give them the information they needed and get them started. And she was already able to take a look at her overall circumstance, and she just has a few things to work on, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
then she'll be ready.
all right. So we can help you guys take a look at your overall circumstances to see if now is the time, or if there's anything that needs to be worked on before we can get you where you want to be as far as being able to buy. So one thing that we will be doing is, after this workshop is completed, we'll be sending you guys a follow-up email with the link to the video that is currently being recorded, and also with our contact information. There is also a link to a questionnaire that just asks a few questions to kind of give us an idea of where you stand. If you have any money saved, or if you know your credit score by chance, that just helps us kind of give a ballpark idea of what programs you may potentially qualify, or how much time you're wanting to start your home buying process. And then we can follow up and reach out to you guys with any additional information and get the process started for you specifically. So that will be sent out right after this.
Just remember to ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions until you understand what you're getting into. So you're fully aware. Everybody should be willing to answer your questions. If you have it, it's a good question. There is no bad question or crazy question or anything. Ask questions until you understand, because this is your money. It's a lot of money, and it's probably going to be your biggest investment you make.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you share some of the bits of information that you need in order to be able to start qualifying folks just to see where they stand?
Usually what I ask for is if you know your credit score. So if you have some kind of idea, a lot of people have apps on their phones from their bank or whatever, as long as you tell me where it's from, I can judge what the credit would be, because all of them are different. They use different algorithms for mortgages versus credit cards or automobiles. So Credit Karma, Discover, your Citibank, your Chase, whatever, those apps do it a little different, so we can judge a little bit. And then your income. So having your last 2 years tax returns with your W-2s and your pay stub available to look at helps a lot. And then your bank statements, which we would need, but usually you pretty much know how much you have in the bank and we know what to work with. But remember, you don't have to have 20% down. And even if you have nothing today, you've got to call and ask the questions so you know what direction to go into and what steps to take. And that's the main purpose of first figuring out what steps to take. Or you may say, hey, I've met all the boxes and I'm ready, but you got to ask questions to know what step, because listening to the coworker or something on TV or whatever, you'll get all kinds of information and then you get it all confused. And then you think you've got it, but kind of like me too, we all take the parts we want to, that we liked hearing. And each person is different.
Right.
So we take your scenario so you can do it in the steps that you need to get there. Or you may say, guess what? I'm ready. But
Right.
we all need a little help in everything.
Yes, most definitely. Here was another slide that we had in there for you.
Those are the income limits for the WISH that are per family size. Okay, so depending upon how many people live in your household, those are the max amount of money your household can make per year, whether they're going to be on the loan or not. That's just if they're going to be living in the house.
Awesome. Do any of our attendees have any questions that they would like to ask that we can answer for you guys at this time? If not, what we will be doing again is sending out the follow-up email so that you guys can get the information and the video that we have recorded from this workshop today. And then you can start your process. So if you guys are currently working with a real estate agent, please feel free to let us know who that agent is so that we can inform them that you've gotten this information in case they have any questions. Or you can work with one of our agents, Realtist agents, and we have a team full of them. So we'll send you the contact information for our team and you can reach out to us directly if you'd like, so that you can get some more information. And then we can get you started on your journey as soon as you're prepared to do so. I always say it's always better to do so now anyways. That way when you are ready, you know exactly that you have everything, all of those pieces that are checked off and ready to go. Your pre-approval, once you get approved, is good for about what, 4 months? Is that correct, Denise?
Correct. Yeah, it's good for 4 months. And at that point, we would just need to rerun the credit, which you don't want your credit ran all the time because that brings your credit scores down. But after 4 months to rerun it, it's usually improved from the time before, and get updated pay stubs.
Yeah, so it's not much work once we get you guys set to go, but at least you're ready to go and you know if there is anything that you need to work on ahead of time. Because I have had clients reach out to me before even getting approved saying, hey, I fell in love with this house. I went to the open house and I'm ready to buy it. And I'm like, okay, well, have you gotten pre-approved? They say no. And I'm like, that's one of the first steps we want to do so that when you're ready to go, you can write that offer. And by the time that client ended up getting approved, which only took a few days, but that house was already in contract with another buyer. So we don't want to miss out. We don't want you falling in love with a home and that you're not quite ready to buy yet. Whether it's because you're not sure how much house you can qualify for, or if you can qualify to purchase the home that you're interested in. So this is always one of the first steps that you want to take, and we can take a look at your overall circumstances to help you decide if it's ready for you to go now, or game plan, put a plan in progress for you, whether it's a year, 6 months, or 2 years down the line. Let's see. I think we have something in the chat.
No. Oh yeah, no. You can actually, okay, so for the City of Fresno's down payment assistance and the County of Fresno's down payment assistance, those are only for, yes, Fresno City and Fresno County properties. As far as the WISH, the SHE, and our special purpose through Tri-Counties, that is actually anywhere in the state of California, Oregon, and Nevada. You can use those programs.
Is there any down payment assistance that have a higher income limit for single person?
Yes. You mean then what's showing on the screen? Yes. There are some with different, the stipulations are a little bit different, and it's usually not as much. There's one that'll be coming out next year. It just depends upon how much a person is over this household, the 80% household income limit. Because there's other programs that are off a little bit different scenarios, so you may fit into that one. It would be just taking your situation.
Okay, I hope that answered some of your questions. Feel free to add any other questions you may have into the chat. But yeah, we can take a look at your own particular circumstance and see where your income lies. And then Denise can definitely let you know if she has a program that is available, a down payment assistance program available for that income amount. And then if not, we can also check with some of our other lending partners to see what is available that might be a good fit for you. So yes, please feel free to reach out to us directly so we can find out what programs are a good fit for your particular needs. Awesome. Okay. Do you have anything else to add, Denise, before we end for the weekend?
Nope. I just thank everybody for joining and listening. And like I said, ask questions, ask questions.
Here's another question. You mentioned that programs can be layered. Does that mean you can use more than one program at once? If that's the case, why would we put money down?
Correct. Well, because yes, you can layer programs, but the money from those other down payment assistance cannot be considered funds from you. The programs require that you maybe come in with 1%, or like the WISH, you have to come in, for every $1 you come in with, WISH will give you 4, up to a max of 29,000. So if you want the full 29,000, you have to come in with a minimum of $7,250. So it depends upon what down payment assistance is used and how much you have as to which programs we use. Normally, you know, the least is, I think, 1% that the borrower has to come in with of the sales price on some of the down payments, but each one's a little different. They do want you to come in with some.
Another thing I do want to mention as an agent representing a buyer, when we write offers to the sellers, one of the things that we do have to say is how much money you're putting down as an earnest money deposit. The earnest money deposit is letting the seller know that you're serious about making a purchase. And most of my clients will put a 1% earnest money deposit. So let's say the house is 300,000, we're talking about $3,000 that is put into this escrow account, which will be held in the account until the close of escrow. And if everything works out fine, those $3,000 would go towards your down payment funds, or it would be credited back to you if your down payment grant monies covered all of it. You would still have to come in with some of your own funds up front, but if your down payment monies covers it all, then that money would be credited back to you. So just kind of keep that in mind. And that is something that we would actually clarify as we sit down with you. With your agent, usually goes through a buyer's consultation with you to kind of give you the step-by-step of what the purchase process is and what funds, if any, you would need to come in with for whatever, whether it's the earnest money deposit, inspections, appraisal, and those other items that we kind of mentioned. But yeah, I think that's a really great question. Thank you for that, Tatiana. So if we don't have any other questions, we appreciate you guys all for joining us. We will have one more workshop in no, December. We have one more coming up. We'll have some more information provided. We are trying to bring a few of our previous buyers to come in and share some of their experiences with their purchase process. And then we will always try to bring on our preferred lender so that they can share about the programs that are currently available as things change or funds run out, or maybe some new program has launched. So we'll be sure to be able to do that, but feel free to reach out to us at any given time. We are always here to be able to assist you and answer any questions that you guys may have. And definitely look out for the email. We'll follow up the email as soon as this video has been uploaded to YouTube. We'll share the link so that you guys can follow this and any other videos that we've posted on there. And then you can reach out to us with any of your questions and we can get you started in your process. Thank you guys all for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.